Good morning, video games. Today is Monday, March 22nd, 2021. My name is Brendan Bigley. Welcome back to the show. It's been a while since I last did one of these, so welcome. Anyway, I saw this on Twitter from thegamer.com, and I just felt like I needed to record something about it. I was like, do I write something? Do I save it for Into the Aether? What do I do here? And I don't know, this just seemed like the best way of kind of getting my thoughts in order, because I just have so many thoughts about this, and they're all bad. It's such a bummer. But anyway, here's a report. PS3, Vita, and PSP digital stores, should be clear, to be permanently closed in a few months. And they have verified their sources. Essentially, what's going to happen is the PSP and the PS3's digital stores are going to be closed down forever on July 2nd, and the Vita store is going to stay open until August 27th. So you'll have like another 2 months, just about, to buy some stuff from the Vita store. On one hand, I get it, of course, you can't, keep a system alive forever, especially something like the Vita that Sony at this point just refuses to even acknowledge the existence of. So on one hand, I kind of get it. The PlayStation 3 store, we're now on the PS5, it kind of makes sense that you would do that. On the other hand, and I don't know the technical limitations here, I don't know the actual, back end of this, so, complete, ignorance on my end. But how much processing power, server space, whatever it is, does running the PlayStation 3 digital store really take up in the grand scheme of things? Especially now, especially as fewer people use it constantly. There's really no way to keep it online, And this, I think this is my overall thing. It's just this was always going to be how this went once games started moving into a digital landscape. Also, just please excuse all the construction noise outside. There are construction crews that are working next door, and do so literally at the break of dawn until the end of the workday, which is, sick. But anyway, the choice that Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo and all these companies have to make, especially when they have a digital store that sells video games, is, are you seeing this as just a business, or are you seeing this as a library of art that people are paying for access to? And I know that second one seems so naive and innocent and silly, but that's really what is happening here. That is the choice that these platforms are making. And to shut down the stores like this essentially is the equivalent of say, just hypothetically, iTunes was the only way to stream movies at home or watch movies. Yeah, you could go buy Blu-rays and DVDs, VHS, whatever, but if you wanted to have a digital version of that thing, iTunes was literally the only way. And at a certain point, iTunes 2 and iTunes 3 came out, and sometimes those movies wouldn't get carried over from iTunes 1 to iTunes 2. And the stuff from iTunes 1 definitely usually doesn't make the leap to iTunes 3, but if you still have the device that could play iTunes 1 and iTunes 2, I know this is silly, then you could go watch those movies. And this is the equivalent of Apple being you know what, we're actually just gonna kill off iTunes 1 and 2, and all of those movies just went away forever. That is what's happening here, essentially. So in the end, what I'm getting from this is that Sony sees their own library, the games that made their systems fly off shelves in the first place, or not in the case of the PlayStation Vita, I guess. But they see those games as just a means to an end, which of course that's how they see it. That I'm not an idiot. I understand how business works. I understand that there is currency. We're not living in fucking Star Trek over here. But there is still a little bit of sadness to just kind of be confronted with it on this level. Is yeah, and we're also just gonna make sure that you can never play this stuff ever again, or even consider seeing it. As soon as we stop buying these guys and started buying our stuff from a digital store, this was always going to be how this went. Eventually, the store would have to shut down for some reason or another. Things wouldn't get updated anymore. You wouldn't be able to get DLC or whatever. And all that stuff is just kind of lost to time. And then it's, it becomes the onus of fans like you and me, presumably, to keep these systems alive and to keep the legacies of these systems alive. I mean, this is art that's being erased, There are a lot of games on the Vita that are digital only, that are just going to be gone literally forever as soon as this happens. And that really bums me out. I'm a person, I have my Vita, I still play it all the time. I actually really like it a lot. I think it's an amazing system. And for the longest time, it was my favorite handheld. And it might still be, to be totally honest. I just think it's a remarkable thing. And the experiences I had on this, I really do cherish in a way that is making me kind of emotional even just talking about it. I love the Vita so much. And to just see it kind of get killed off like this is so sad, I think. Let me grab something to illustrate a point real quick. Here's the big difference between this guy and this guy. For example, this guy has a plethora of emulators and ROMs and stuff available on the internet. There are like ways for you to buy things online that will allow you to dump the ROM of the games you own and then play them on the original hardware, even using things like this, which like have an SD card in it, so you can go and like play your stuff legally or otherwise. So when like the Game Boy Advance digital store, were it ever to exist, it obviously didn't, but just hypothetically say a Game Boy Advance digital store existed, when it went away, there were still ways to play those games. And they all exist, they're backed up online. There are archivists who like literally work day and night making sure that stuff is backed up. I think maybe better comparisons would be like the Nintendo DS, which like has like pretty spectacular emulators on the internet, or the 3DS, which like has a digital store, which I imagine will probably get shut down at some point. And I think already has been shut down in some countries, if I'm not mistaken, which also has like a pretty vibrant and like developing emulator scene as well. So like that stuff is not going to be lost to time, despite the fact that Nintendo both knows the power of its own IP and how valuable that is, but also doesn't give enough of a shit about it to allow people to access it. Which then causes people like me to just constantly be yelling, please, Nintendo, I just want to give you money. And then they just constantly say no. Like in the event of the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection, which it seems very likely, in 9 days at least, at the time of this recording, will just go away forever, and you won't be able to buy that game anymore. And that's 3 games that were at one point ported to the Nintendo Switch, but no more, no longer available. You just had to be there at the right time. And that's not how game preservation should work. The Vita, on the other hand, has one in-development experimental emulator, which like means that it might happen eventually, which is good. Nice to know that like it might happen at one point, but like the thing can't really play anything at this point, from what I've seen at least. I'm not gonna point you there in this video, but like you could just Google some stuff. It's very easy to find. But even if you do find it, you're not gonna be playing anything, which is kind of the bummer there. So what that means essentially is that like the Vita and its games are just going to be lost to time forever. And that really like bums me out. Again, with the PlayStation Portable, that's fine. There are emulators that exist. PS3, believe it or not, I think there are also emulators that exist for the PS3. So like that stuff is going to stick around. But some stuff like DLC for those games are just gone. And it's a thing that bums me out, and I bring it up all the time on Into the Aether and just like in casual conversation with people all the time, just constantly. But like game preservation is important. This is art that should be backed up, you know? We don't like accept when, I don't know, say the master print of Boogie Nights was lost forever or something, you know? There was no way to ever see Boogie Nights again. That would be upsetting to a lot of people, you know, and it should be equally upsetting, I think, in this case. It's sad to just like say goodbye to a thing and know that like we'll never be able to see it again, with the exception of, you know, cartridges like this, which I will probably now put my kids through college if I hold on to it in this box. So here's what I'll say. This is not me recommending that you do this, but it's a thing that is possible. You can go get a Vita 1000 like this one, or the other slim version, which looks like this, the colorful ones. And you can hack them and do a whole lot of cool things with them. If the Vita's gonna go away forever, then now might be a better time to do that than later. All right, that's it for me. Hopefully this was even remotely coherent. I'm just like sorting through a bunch of emotions thinking about this. But I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.